Hi guys, welcome back to Joy's Reading Time. I decided today to read The Rules of Wealth by Richard Templar. Now, he's the same man who wrote The Rules of Love. And I found this book really interesting. I mean, we all want to make money, don't we? Or need some guidance as we was not given the guidance in school. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of these, people who make money through whatever means, they spend a lot of their money on, items of clothing and shoes and, big name brands, Versace, so forth. But, afterwards the money's finished and they have nothing left because school, people might say, oh, they didn't invest, but school doesn't teach that. It doesn't teach about stocks and bonds and mortgages and mortgage rates and how to invest and how to go about doing these things. Only private schools really do this. So I felt that this book was really interesting. And yeah, so I'll start off with rule one. So rule one is anybody can make money. It isn't selective or discriminatory. The lovely thing about money is that it really doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what color or race you are, what class you are, what your parents did, or even who you think you are. Each and every day starts with a clean slate, so that no matter what you did yesterday, today begins anew and you have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else to take as much as you want. The only thing that holds you back is yourself and your own money myths. So what he feels is that some people have doubts about money. Some people may feel that money is bad. It's not good to have too much money, So that holds people back from actually having, making money if they think about money in a negative way or don't feel that they deserve to have that much money or they don't deserve to be rich or I only want enough money to survive or no more. So he's trying to break down the myths of, the way people think towards money. So anyway, I continue. Of the wealth of the world, each has as much as they take. What else would make sense? There is no way money can know who is handling it, what their qualifications are, what ambitions they have, or what class they belong to. Money has no ears or eyes or senses. It is inert, inanimate, impassive. It hasn't a clue. It is there to be used and spent, saved and invested, fought over, seduced with and worked for. It has no discriminatory apparatus, so it can't judge whether you're worthy or not. I have watched a lot of extremely wealthy people, and the one thing they all have in common is that they have nothing in common, apart from all being role players, of course. The wealthy are a diverse brand of people. The least likely can be loaded. They vary from the genteel to the uncouth, the savvy to the plain stupid, the undeserving to the undeserving to the undeserving, the deserving to the undeserving. But each and every one of them has stepped up and said, yes, please, I want some of that. And the poor are the ones saying, no, thank you, not for me. I am not worthy. I am not deserving enough. I couldn't. I mustn't. I shouldn't. I also will bring this further to you as some people who may be poorer and you've kind of put yourself on the level of making money and all they will do is ask for a handout. I mean, they don't want to do anything for themselves, and if you live your life just giving handouts to people who don't want to progress themselves, you end up with nothing like them. It's not as if they want you to help them to start a business or start something because they have no thought. It's just, oh, you've got, give me. And you can't keep doing that all your life or you'll never have anything for yourself. So that's something to consider also. This is what this book is about, challenging your perceptions of money and the wealthy. We all assume the poor are poor because of circumstances, their background, their upbringing, their nurture. But if you have the means to buy a book such as this and live in a comparative security and comfort in the world, then you have the power to be wealthy. It may be hard, it may be tough, but it is doable. And this is rule 1. Anyone can be wealthy. You just have to apply yourself. All the other rules are about that application. So rule 2. Decide on your definition of wealth. So what to you is wealth? This is one you have to sit down and work out in advance if you're going to get wealthy. My observation is that wealthy people invariably have worked this one out. They know exactly what to them wealth means. I have a wealthy and extremely generous friend who says that he knew long ago when he was starting out in business that he would consider he had made enough when he wasn't living off the money he had amassed, which we would call his capital. Nor would he be living off the interest on his capital. No, he would consider himself wealthy when he was living on the interest on his capital. Now, this friend knows how much his interest on the interest is making him, pretty much by the hour. Thus, if we all go out for a meal in the evening, he knows A, how much the meal has cost, B, how much he has made while eating the meal. He says that as long as B is more than A, then he is happy. This is setting the definition of wealth pretty high, you might think. Maybe you wouldn't want to set it this high, and that's fine, of course. Then again, maybe you want to put some kind of figure on it. In the old days, everyone wanted to be millionaire. That was as easy one to judge if you've got there or not. Today, there are a lot of people who have houses worth more than that, and they wouldn't consider themselves wealthy at all, and yet haven't quite got around to upping the ante to wishing themselves billionaires. My own definition for comparison is having enough so that I don't have to worry about having enough. How much is that? I never know. There's always seems to be more to worry about and less coming in. But seriously, I feel that I have been comfortable since I started counting in thousands rather than in pounds. I know to the nearest thousand how much I've got, how much I need, and how much I can spend. For some people, not worrying might mean having enough to pay for any emergency that might arise in your family or home. So how will you define it? By the number of cars you own, servants, cash in the bank, value of your house, portfolio of investments? There are, of course, no right or wrong answers, but I do feel that until you've worked this one out, you shouldn't read on. If we don't have a target, we can't take aim. If we don't have a destination, we can't leave home, or we'll be driving around in circles for hours. If we don't have a definition, how can we monitor or judge success? If we don't do this, how will we know this book has been helpful to you? Rule 3, set your objectives. By defining what you mean by wealth, you now have a destination. Setting your objective is establishing a timetable to reach that destination. It's quite simple. If you know you are going to drive to a certain place, it makes sense to know what time you are leaving home, what time you expect to arrive, what route you are going to take, what you will be doing when you get there. Getting rich is exactly the same. You will want to know in advance that rich means to you, how you intend getting there, how long you expect it to take, and what you are going to be able to do or want to do with your money when you get it. So having defined what wealth means to you, you can now see the importance of setting your objective. Think about how you intend getting rich and how long it's going to take you, and then set your objective. It might be simple. I'm going to be a millionaire by my 40th birthday, and I shall make my money by running my own property development company. That was easy. Well, it was for me because I'm only making up an example for you. For you, I wager it's going to be pretty hard. This is because you won't have thought about this before. Oh, I dare say you might have had a casual dream. I want to be very, very rich and all famous and or successful, but few people, only the rich, famous and successful ones, in my observation, actually decide what and when and how. You have it to if you want. You have to if you want to be wealthy. And I assume you do, or you wouldn't be reading this book. Now set your objective. So he says, now how did you get on? And how realistic is that objective? You have to be honest and achievable. By realistic, I mean that setting an objective of being the richest person in the world might happen, but isn't going to if it isn't realistic. Honest means you have to be true to yourself and set an objective that you can live with and work with. Lying to yourself means it will fail. Lying to others means it will fail. Achievable? Yes, that too. If you know nothing about property and are interested in learning, have no capital and can't get a mortgage, then setting an objective to be a property developer isn't realistic, honest or achievable. Happy with what you've got? Good. If not, have another bash at it and let's get a move on. We want to get you up and running as soon as possible. Now this one, he says, keep it under your hat. Now you have embarked on a new journey, a new direction, it might be worth keeping it under your hat. There may come a time when you will need to discuss what you are doing with money mentor, but for the moment, don't broadcast what you are doing. There are several reasons for this. Other people's opinion can be negative and this can put you off. If everyone is doing it, there may be less room for you. There's no need to give away all your best ideas. Having other people discussing your business among themselves is never good for you. You don't want to be seen as preaching or trying to convert people to your way of thinking. No one else really wants to know what you're up to. If they ask how you are, reply with a simple fine, rather than a lengthy explanation of what you are doing. It's nice having a secret, give you a warm, smug, glowing feeling. I mean, have you ever known people like they will come and say, oh, I'm doing this and that, and I'm going to do that and that, and blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah. A year later, they're still talking about the same thing, or they've changed to what they're going to do now because they just talk too much. They're always wanting to brag, but they do nothing. So it's best just to keep quiet and think about it. It's good they got ideas, but they need to try and implement those ideas. And I think it's the same thing as like if you're going to do something and you think, oh, let me speak about it. All of a sudden, someone wants to do exactly what you're doing. Oh, I was thinking that, yeah, I'm going to do that. It's such a lie, you know. It's like they want, you know, they don't want to see you succeed and they want to jump on your bandwagon, your idea. So it's good to just keep quiet and try and implement what you're doing rather than be bragging or speaking about it, especially to some people who really don't have your best interests at heart. Okay, moving on. If you go around broadcasting what you're doing, there will be people around you who will get jealous and will do pretty much well anything to put you off. After all, you are saying goodbye to them in a way. You are proclaiming that the old you, the old lifestyle isn't good enough anymore and you are off to pastures new. Of course they are going to be unhappy about that, so keep it under your hat. That doesn't cost anything or require you to do anything. Let this be our little secret. Carry on learning and practicing the rules, but just don't go telling all and sundry. No matter how much you think they might benefit from reading this book, leave a copy around by all means, of course. The interesting bit is that even if you did go telling everyone, they were likely to do anything about it. Most people would rather watch television than drag themselves out of their pit of poverty. I am only thinking of you when I say keep it under your hat. Anyone who gets religion of any sort needs to keep a tight lip on it. People really hate being preached at, lectured at, encouraged to think about their lifestyle, or told what they are doing isn't good enough. Gaining prosperity is one of those things you do privately, clandestinely, surreptitiously. Not that there is anything wrong, just that it's best done alone. So then I'm going to fast forward. I mean, you can get this book if you want, but I'm fast forwarding. I mean, Rule 5 said most people are too lazy to be wealthy. But what I thought was really good is I jumped straight to, I think that was Rule 9. And Rule 9 is decide what you want money for, which I thought was really interesting. This is part of your defining, setting objective process. There are no right or wrong answers. For example, making a fortune and spending it all on cocaine seems to me like a foolish thing to do. But that's personal. You might find a problem with me spending mine on a decent chateau. We all spend on what we think will satisfy us, make us happy. We all choose our own pleasures, and it's not for me to sit in judgment on anyone else. So what do you want the money for? Why do you want to be wealthy? The answers you give will tell you a whole lot about your hidden money myth and how you really see money. Sometimes it's very simple. We have a dream and need the money to fulfill it. The dream comes first. Gerard Durrell had wanted a zoo since he was a small boy and wrote 36 best-selling books which helped to fund his zoo. And that's on the island of Jersey. So what's your dream? It might not be that simple. However, I asked a close acquaintance why she wanted to be wealthier the other day, and the results were quite revealing. She said she wanted to be better off so that she could give her children more, and in giving them more, they would stay at home longer. And if they stayed at home longer, she wouldn't have to face a possible old age alone. So basically, she wants to be wealthy to stave off loneliness. Another acquaintance said he wanted to get wealthy so he could have adventures. When pressed further, it seemed his adventures were the running away sort where he could be young, free and single again. Is money really the answer for either of these people? Is it for you? When you know what you want greater wealth for, think also about alternative ways to meet your needs. I said earlier I wanted to be wealthy so I could pay for medical care for any close family member that might need it. I could invest in some simple medical insurance to cover that instead. Consider also what you don't want more money for. I like my toys, cars and boats, but have found that my investments in such things hasn't increased as my income has gone up. I still like old cheap sport cars and old boats that need plenty of maintenance. My motivation isn't to be able to spend loads on new things. I don't need more money to buy new cars and boats. Do you really need as much as you think? If so, fine. You just need to be sure and be clear about it. So what's your excuse? What do you want money for? Set your own agenda, my friend, and keep it to yourself. And whatever you write down, and do I recommend you write it down? It makes so much more real. Makes it so much more real. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. It is a useful exercise to look back on one day and see if your dream and achievements match. I think that is good. I do that. A lot of time when I want to achieve something, it could be within a few months, I write it down, what I want to achieve, and I make that list and I stick it there to look at. And, on my wall. And then some months later, I can look at what I achieved or what I did not, and do I still want to achieve what I thought I wanted to achieve? So, yeah, I think that is interesting. And one of the last rules I'm going to read you for now, which I thought was really interesting, is understand that money begets money, which is so true. There is no greater truth than this. Money makes money. It's like clustering together. It breeds quietly and quickly like rabbits. It prefers to hang out in big groups. Money makes money. The rich get richer, the poor gets poorer. That's life. Yes, it is sad, but it does seem to be a fact. Now we can work hard ourselves and do something about it, or we can sit around moaning and become part of the problem. The choice is always entirely yours. If you do want to do something about it, then it seems to make sense to me to make a tidy sum and use your money wisely to help the less fortunate than you, or do whatever with it you so choose. Once you have some money, you'll be astonished at how quickly it can grow. I recommend you understand and learn the concept of compound interest as quickly as possible. And no, I am not going to tell you anything about it, except it's vitally important that you know about it and make it a cornerstone in your building of wealth. So I'm going to look at that compound interest and see what that means. The reason I'm not going to tell you anything about it is, firstly, this isn't this sort of book, and secondly, I'm not going to do all the work for you. That would be too easy and you learn nothing. My observation is that wealthy people get the idea of compound interest and the rest of us don't. If you spend all you get, then this rule will never work for you. It'll never get your money working for you. You have to set aside money for breeding purposes. If you run a rabbit farm and killed and ate all your rabbits, you wouldn't have any left to keep you going. Forget the rabbit farm. You're going to start a money farm. Your money will breed. You can then reinvest some and spend some, but you can't spend it all or you have no more rabbits. Look, this stuff isn't rocket science, but it's amazing how many people simply don't get it. But you do now. You have been given the best tip I can give you. Put some money aside for breeding purposes. Cream a little off for some spending. Reinvest the bulk to build up a good and healthy stock. Keep it to yourself. So he continually says, keep your ideas or what you're doing to yourself, which I think is very important. I do like these rules. It's given me a lot of thought, and I am very happy to share these thoughts with you, or these rules anyway. I keep my business to myself as well. I take his advice. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. So please subscribe, share, comment. As I said before, if there's any books that you would like me to read, just mention it in the comment below. And also you can contact me on my Instagram, which is also in my biography below. So you can do that, or my description, I should say. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I enjoyed reading this to you. So I'll probably read you part 2. So let me know what you think of this. Thank you for listening.